So we're gonna put on the Young Nails extra long form. So we take our form off of the package, take our middle area, and we're gonna put it right there. That just helps give a little bit more stability to our form. Take our two parts, stick them together. And I don't want to roll it and knead it. It's not bread. I am going to just give it a little pinch right down the center. And then I'm going to hold it right at the bottom. I'm going to come down, put it under so it's flush to the nail. Hold it from the top and bring it all the way down. So now how you pinch it is going to depend on what shape you want. So if my client here, if Sally wanted a stiletto shaped nail, I'm going to hold it from the bottom and then I'm just going to bring that pinch in and work it up to my desired length. Remembering that when you do create a stiletto shape that you're going to apply it past the pinch to get that nice perfect point. So bring it all the way down. Get some extra long nails, and you would be able to create that stiletto nail to right about that length. If we were going to create a square shaped nail, so now let's imagine, let's cut that guy off, boom. So when we want a square shaped nail, right here, instead of closing that pinch completely, I just want to open that just a bit. And the more you open that, the more you'll be able to create this more square shapes. So you open that, and now I'll have more of a square or a coffin shaped nail where I can tape it in and still have a little bit more of a square. So let's start with the basics of encapsulating the nail. So to get started, we're gonna do a hybrid nail. So I'm gonna create my length with acrylic powder. I'm gonna start with Speed Clear and come in my powder. And the trick is this has to be paper thin, paper thin. So if you think what a plastic tip looks like, make it thinner than that. The thinner you make it, the more dimension you'll be able to create with your art. So it'll sit all the way at the bottom. I'm gonna slide up, and we're gonna use zone 2 and 3 of the brush to go ahead and just work it back. Once I connect it, I'm gonna go ahead and stretch, 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 creating what I call the skeleton. This is just gonna be for the tip. Paper thin, watch your sides. In that stiletto shape, you want it to be poker, nice and straight, poker straight down the sidewalls. I'm creating that lower arch on the nail. Thin, thin, thin. Now what I like to do to make sure that it's nice and pointed and built at the free edge. Remember, with a stiletto, we want to apply it just slightly past the pinch so it's completely closed. I'm going to come in with a really small pearl, tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to bounce a little bit into my powder. And I want it more in a clay form, so I'm just going to give it a second. I'm going to put my pearl down. And that little pearl is going to be just for the free edge, just to create that finished point. I'm gonna come all the way into my liquid, tap, tap. I'm gonna bounce, bounce, bounce. 2, 3, 4. And I'm gonna go ahead, put her down. Work it around the cuticle area. Trust the run. And if I needed to stop running, I just bring the nail flat. So when I'm waiting for it to set up and get into clay consistency, I just like to wipe my brush. So it gives me a moment to stop touching it. All right, from here, I'm gonna imagine in my mind's eye a little bit of a wave. So I'm just gonna work this in. And just give it a little bit of a wave effect. Work that nail in. I'm going to come around, look at it from the client profile. Come on, Sally, work with me. I'm going to take my handy dandy tool, and just like if I was baking, if I didn't want to stick, I'd go in the flour. So I'm just going to take my tool, dip it back into my powder so it won't stick to anything, and just refine wherever I want my shape to be. There's no right or wrong here. We just go ahead and whatever you feel like creating. Work her in there. Come back around. Bring Sally around. And from here, I just want to make sure that my wedge, so I have something to tuck under, is nice and balanced. And I have a little bit of room to work with. Kind of drippy. Let it set. All right, so I'm gonna come in now with some Mission Control gel paints. I'm gonna use the Overdrive. So we're gonna wind up doing a black and gold design. And what I wanna do is I wanna paint where I made this ledge, I'm gonna paint this black. And you'll see when we get to the end result how it just creates this really cool effect. And then whenever you do paint in your smile lines or any kind of effect like this, you wanna make sure you don't over flood the area that you're putting it in. You just wanna fill it up and paint it all the way to the top of the line. It'd be the same effect if we were doing like the 3D or the multiple smile line effects. Bring it around. And I'm using the number 2 on the Young Nails nail art brushes. I really just wanted it to have like a little bit of that ripply wave effect. Now we can also bring that paint down a little bit. I mean, do whatever you want. It's art. There's no rules. So I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit lower. And then I'm going to come in with my ombre brush from Young Nails. And the brush is a little bit drier, and I'm just going to use this brush just to kind of lightly drag some of that paint down. I don't want too hard of a line. I just want to soften it and bring some of that down. Cool. And so we're gonna go in, we're gonna take some of our gold zebra polka dots from Young Nails, and I'm just gonna drop them off here on my paper towel. Take a few. I don't know which ones we're gonna use yet, but we'll just put a few down. I'm gonna use some of the gold polka dots. I'm gonna put some of those friends down. And let's get a little bit of gold foil. Love some good foil. Foil is fun to work with. It does love to stick to everything. So we're just gonna bring some of that down, play with that. When you work with the gold foil, you can always break it down into smaller pieces. I'm just gonna break it into little bits, just so I have some like gold leafing kind of feels to add to it, as if I was doing some kind of calligraphy or illumination work. I'm gonna come in, this is Like a Steel, Young Nails Imagination Arts. All right, so I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna start working very, very thin layers. I'm gonna take a little bit of base from the Synergy, and I just wanna get everything nice and sticky. So real thin, just get it on there, nice and thin. And we're gonna start building our layers. So I'm gonna start with my glitter foundation. I'm gonna use Like a Steel. I'm gonna come in, and there's no right or wrong. I'm just gonna put her down. I want a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. I do like negative space, so I'm just gonna place her in a couple different areas. So I'm gonna go ahead, after flash curing, just to get that glitter to stay in its place, I'm gonna put just a little bit more base down on the nail, get her nice and sticky, and then I'm gonna come in with some of my polka dots. So I like to do my bigger pieces first, that way I can go ahead and fill in the gaps with my smaller pieces. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's really whatever you want to create. Okay, so let's say, let's do one more up, like that there. Push her down here. Here we go. I kind of like what that's doing. And then I'm gonna come in with all my gold pieces, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting some of these gold pieces down. These are the gold polka dots. Make sure they're not sticking to each other. She wanted to live there. All right, we'll let her live there. And now bring them all in. I just like to do this in nice thin layers. I also, if you notice, everything is kind of, nothing is flat. I'm not making it lay down because I want that dimension of things being lifted higher. I want some things to look like they're a little bit flatter, raised up. All right, and how about we do another one? Just looking in the facets. Let's do another one right kind of underneath the big one. That'll pop out real good. All right, and we'll go ahead and give that a little flash cure. All right, we're gonna do one more layer because we still have some of those gold foils to work with. So again, I'm just gonna come in and lightly make everything wet and sticky again. Still working with the base from Synergy. And what I'm gonna do is you can grab your, you can use your brush, you can use an orange wood stick, you can use whatever tool you're comfortable with. I'm just gonna go in with my brush, I'm gonna pick up a foil, and I'm just gonna add some of that extra foil into some of these little spots here. I like the element of adding more metallic in there. I think it adds a really cool flare. And I'm just kind of looking for any empty space that it might make sense. Do a little bit right there at the tip. There really is no right or wrong here. I'm just gonna go with, wherever it feels like it should live. All right, and then we're gonna cure. So we're gonna use our Builder Pink on the Synergy. I'm gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna bring her, when I work with the gel, I just wanna take it off my brush and then just kind of work behind the pearl. Bring the point down or the finger all the way down so I can allow the run. Trust the run. And you can do this with the tubes, or you can do it with Build Clear. There's just something very special about the shine on the Builder Pink. Swing, swing. I just want to fill it all in, down. Whenever you're working with the gel, be careful not to overwork it too, because that is one of the ways you can get bubbles in there. But the good news is if you see a bubble, you know what you can do? You can pop that bubble.
Oh yeah.
All right, and then once you have it all in its place, you can go ahead and cure. Comes out, we're gonna get ready for filing to finish. So we're gonna come in, I'm gonna use the Young Nails 150 grit abrasive. And things to know about your abrasives, always season them first so you don't cut your client. We take one file and you just etch along the side. Because if you've ever felt them when they're raw, they're super sharp. It's like the worst paper cut of your life. So we're gonna start with seasoning our files. Doing it, you can come in and do your 5-point filing first, or you can come back in and do it after you do your interior. Usually for more of the beginner or on the super long lengths, what we can do is start with our 5-point filing first. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna do number 1, which is our side walls. And I'm gonna hold on, because it's Sally and it's got some length, and I'm just gonna file it nice and straight from the free edge up to the nail groove. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So this is 1. And then I'm gonna come in for number 2, and I'm gonna go from holding it with one finger, and I'm gonna use my thumb to hold it steady on the other side, kind of like if I was going to hit my tennis racket. And I'm just gonna go up and down, parallel to the nail, nice and straight, because even though it's gonna be a stiletto, omeletto shape, we're going to come in and keep all of our lines straight with the nail grooves or the nail walls. So we've done 1, we've done 2. For 3 and 4, we're gonna work our lower arches, which is that area on the bottom of the nail. And I'm gonna bring that so it's the blue, or the center of my abrasive, is gonna run parallel to the nail wall. I'm gonna line it up, and my pressure's on the up to get anything that's hanging low so the nails are nice and flush and straight. Come around to the other side. So we've done 1, 2, 3, this is 4. Anything that's hanging low, so it comes straight. And that's gonna start giving me my perimeter area. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once I have my baseline for all of that, I'm gonna go in with my electric file. So I'm gonna come into my electric file, I'm gonna use my coarse safety bit. And because I'm working a longer nail, I'm gonna need to keep that a little bit further out of the chuck than if I was on a shorter nail where I would have it a whole lot closer. I'm gonna work at approximately 15,000 RPMs. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna use my overhand grip. Sally will work for me. I'm gonna come into the overhand grip, and we're gonna do the I formation. So I'm gonna come down the center of the nail, So I break the bit down to thirds, 1, 2, and 3, and I break the nail into thirds. I'm gonna go down the center, zone 1 to zone 1, zone 2 to zone 2, and 3 to 3. And I'm looking from the profile so I can have and see my apex and my arch starting to come into place. Once I've gone down the center, I'm gonna look down the barrel, and I'm gonna start blending the sides with zone 3, zone 2 of my bit, and zone 1 of my bit. And I'm gonna decrease my bulk by pulling it all the way down. All the way down. I'm dragging it, and I'm looking straight at the nail. I'm not staring at my bit. I'm looking at the nail, and where it looks too thick or out of shape, and my hand will naturally start going to where it needs to be. Bring it all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. I can go ahead and clean up some of my lines down here. Get my lower arches. I'm going to come down here, clean up my line a little bit on the lower arch. Now, we said the eye formation. I went down the center. Now I'm going to come around that cuticle area. Make sure it's flush and balanced so you don't know where the enhancement began and the natural nail ended. And then same thing. I'm going to come down the bottom of the eye and make sure my free edge becomes nice and thin. Thinnest areas are usually going to be around the free edge of the nail as well as the cuticle. All right, once we got our bulk down, what we can go ahead and do is come back in with our hand file, and we're going to go ahead and do our file finishing with our hand file. All right, so now we're going to do all of our final finishing filing. We're going to come in with our 150 grit, and I'm going to hold the file with my index finger, because I'm right-handed, over the top of the file. And I'm going to come across like little C's, little C's. So if you're looking at the nail, I'm going to file the nail in this direction, with pressure being on the forward and then following through as I come back down the nail. And I'm gonna hold on one side, because if you've ever had this done, if you're not holding or bracing this, it feels kind of funny to the client. I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna come up, pressure and follow through, pressure and follow through, pressure and follow through. Because we're trying to create these domes and these arches in the nail. So I wanna make it nice and thin on the sidewalls, coming up and over, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And then what I can do on the other side is just follow through. So I'm going to change my grip. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to make my peace sign. I'm going to put my abrasive down and then hold it with my thumb. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to follow the motion through. Follow the motion through. I'm going to hold on so she doesn't go flying. If you've ever had your nails done, you know you need to hold on a little bit because it feels a little funny. And bring her all the way down. I'm gonna look at her from a profile, make sure I like where I'm seeing it kind of ascend up and come back down. I'm gonna look at her from a profile, and I like what I'm seeing so far. And I'm gonna come back around, and this is the most important to finish. The devil's always in the detail. I wanna look at it from the client's perspective. So I'm gonna look down the nail, make sure my lines are straight, make sure my lines are straight, my lines are straight. And I'm still trying to hold on to Sally in the process. And come down. And come down. And I'm just going to go ahead and surf the top of the nail. Making sure everything looks nice and smooth. And that I'm happy with all of my lines. It is always okay to go in and file. Everyone has a weak side. So I usually have to do a little bit more work on this side of the nail when I bring her into my profile, my client profile. And bring it back over. Check all my lines. Yeah, and she's looking pretty good. All right, so from here, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna wipe away all of the dust, working from the cuticle towards the free edge. Remove all the dust. I'm gonna come in with some swipe. Go ahead and clean the nail. It's always so satisfying to watch your whole design come into play. And then we're gonna top coat to finish. Let's do some top coat. All right, so for our top coat, I'm gonna use the Ultimate Finish. This one is my personal favorite, mostly because there is no inhibition layer. So she's in the lamp, oil, and done from here. So when we apply, I'm just gonna go in, work it from the free edge up. And then once I get closer to that cuticle, I'm gonna slow my roll. Press down so you see the pressure I'm using. Let the brush open up and it'll fill in up to that cuticle area. Same thing on the side. I'll turn my client's hand gently to the side. Open that brush. Let the brush do the work. Come down. And same on the other side. I'm just gonna go ahead and double check, make sure everything is in its place. There we go. In for 60 seconds, oil and finish.